Hey everybody, this is Jordan. This video is being recorded on Wednesday afternoon, February 28th, 2024. Thank you so much for joining me. In this video, this is going to be a quick one. I'm going to talk about a new indicator for gold. Now, I don't know if this is that original, but I talk a lot about gold against the S&P 500, gold against the stock market, just an incredibly important macro relationship, macro ratio for gold and precious metals as well. But I think as far as what we're coming into over the coming months and quarters, looking at a potential melt up in the U.S. stock market, centered around technology stocks and the strength there. And we know that Bitcoin basically follows tech. So how about Bitcoin as an indicator for gold? I mean, gold against Bitcoin. How about that ratio as a potential indicator for gold? So let me get more into where and how these markets are trading and what it could mean for gold going forward and why Bitcoin can be an indicator for gold in this instance. So I've showed this before. We got Bitcoin here, NASDAQ, gold at the bottom. And Bitcoin has mirrored the trend in tech since Bitcoin really started trading when nobody knew about it back in 2011, 2012. I mean, the performance, the pattern has been almost perfectly in line with technology. And so we show the NASDAQ here. I probably should have used the NDX, the NASDAQ 100. That might be better. But if we think about some of the best moves at Bitcoin, these were really strong points in the stock market. Like 2017 was, we know after the COVID crash, that was a very strong period. Now the market, we know the S&P is broken out. NASDAQ is really close to breaking out, and Bitcoin has come back, huge day today. And so these are bullish chart patterns, and they look almost exactly the same. Look for, if you have the view, as I'm starting to come into, that we very well could see a melt up in the U.S. stock market, then more money is going to go into Bitcoin, which is it's a speculative asset. Now, it's a technology. It has nothing to do with a currency with respect to how it trades. It's trading like a tech stock. And I mean, that's a whole nother video. I've discussed that. But the point is, if we are going to see a melt up in the U.S. stock market, Bitcoin is going to follow. And Bitcoin is going to be an indicator of that. And so, again, you have these cut patterns here in Bitcoin and the NASDAQ. And I think right now the path of least resistance is definitely higher for both of these. And who knows, if we see a melt up in the S&P in the next year is going to go to 6,000, maybe even 7,000, that could pull Bitcoin higher significantly. I mean, you melt up, you see a lot of speculation, and that speculation is going to go into Bitcoin. And so we can see here with respect to gold, what's interesting is if we look at peaks in gold, like you had this peak in gold in 2016, and that was the beginning of this huge move in Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin had recovered, it hadn't broken out yet. So again, gold peaked. It didn't break out for a couple more years. So after gold peaked, Bitcoin had this huge move. The NASDAQ had this huge move. And we know that after gold peaked in 2020, NASDAQ, huge move, Bitcoin, huge move. So does that mean gold is putting in a significant peak here with, these potential huge breakouts in Bitcoin and the NASDAQ? Because these peaks here and here, they were before. I mean, you look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin had not broken the previous highs. So judging by that relationship, maybe gold should have peaked around here or earlier. I don't know. Does that mean gold is going to make a major peak here? I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. But again, if we're going to see a melt up in the U.S. stock market, the money is going into tech stocks and then Bitcoin as a speculative asset. And then you can have a huge blow off in the next, who knows, 6 months, 12 months, maybe even 18 months. You get this huge blow off. And it's really after that gold and precious metals would really begin a new secular bull market, because precious metals are still in a secular bear market. So very similar chart. We have gold against the Bitcoin ratio here. And, it's not as good of an indicator as gold against the stock market. We can see here, I mean, gold was trending down against Bitcoin, but it had this huge move. And, gold was, before this big move from August 2018 to August 2020, gold was trending up against the Bitcoin ratio, but it had weakened right before you had this huge breakout in gold right before the Fed cut. So the ratio was weakening, and it was weakening here again, as gold was coming into this major top. But so gold against, this ratio, it's not a perfect, by itself, it's not that great of an indicator. But, again, here we are in the last year or so. I mean, this is rolling over. A Bitcoin, along with the stock market, tech stocks, they're strongly outperforming gold now. But that being said, with respect to this ratio, I think what's more important is the fact that, Bitcoin and tech stocks, they're coming up on potential huge breakouts here, as gold has really been struggling to, make this 4-year breakout, and then, you go back to the peak in 2011. It's really a 13-year base. So gold is struggling to break through that, and now we see Bitcoin and NASDAQ, they're really flying. Gold's underperforming Bitcoin. So that tells me the path of least resistance, again, for Bitcoin looks to be higher, and it's in the near term, medium term, it's probably going to continue to outperform gold. That doesn't mean that gold can't break out and run to 2,300. That's certainly possible, but is gold about to start a real secular bull market when you have the threat of Bitcoin and NASDAQ following the U.S. stock market? There's going to be a blow off there. No, I mean, gold will start the secular bull after you get the blow offs. So that's all for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. So again, just to conclude, gold against the stock market, that is the holy grail indicator for gold and precious metals. However, Bitcoin being a speculative asset, it is important to keep an eye on that with respect to an indicator of the potential melt up that is coming in the U.S. stock market. And so, again, if we get this melt up and Bitcoin continues to really outperform gold, that's not going to be a good thing. That's going to limit gold here in the near term and the medium term. So leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'll talk to you guys again in the next video.